All right. Our colleague, Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey, is running late, and our colleague, Commissioner Phillips, will not be able to join us tonight. So with the present quorum, we'll go ahead and begin the work session. The first item of business we have is an employee introduction. First for the police department. Chief, would you like to make that one?
Certainly. Good evening.
Good evening.
So our first superstar, David Harding. I'd like, come on up. You got to come up here. You got to stand next. So we hired David, I don't know, it seems like up 10 years ago. No. He's been here several months now, and he comes with us with a lot of local experience. Came to us from another local agency, but prior to that, he had some other local law enforcement, and comes with quite a bit of federal law enforcement experience too. So this is David Harding. So we can welcome him.
Welcome.
I always ask you what to say anything. So now's your opportunity, but you're limited to 1 minute or less.
Anyway, thanks for the opportunity to work here, and I'm looking forward to serving the public and citizens of Red Bank.
Thank you, Officer
Thank you so
Harding.
much.
We're glad to have you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next, we have some promotions for the Public Works Department. Director Tate.
Let's see. Start with Mr. Davis Gedron, who's a stranger to.
Wait, he looks like a stranger.
Who is this guy?
He's pretty good.
Who's that?
But, a few months ago, he and I had a discussion, well, not too many months ago, a couple months ago, about upcoming position vacancies, and he has a passion for stormwater. And I told him, by all means, I expected him to apply for the position, and we did external and internal evaluations on, I think we had 25 applicants, I think what Leslie said,
Wow.
the stormwater position. And he brought to the table the most passion and the most experience for the related job. And we're happy to have him in this new position. So we start a new era of stormwater management.
All right.
He said, you want to say thank you?
Yeah, I did prepare some statements. It might be less than 1 minute. First, I'd like to thank my partner, Joshua Lovelace, whose tutelage allowed me to quickly get with the program and excel in the Labor One position. And to my brothers and sisters in the Public Works Department, thank you for making me feel a part of the team from day one. Your dedication to the city of Red Bank is an inspiration. It makes me proud to put on my orange and reflective striped shirt every morning and join you all in the dishes. Finally, thank you, Greg Tate and Leslie Johnson, for your confidence in my ability and determination to apply my skill set to equally succeed in the stormwater specialist position. I look forward to this opportunity to serve Red Bank in a new, challenging, and rewarding manner.
Good job. Everybody put your shades on.
He's in
It's kind of like
uniform.
deja vu. We've seen both these guys before. Jimmy joined us, well, let's see, what have you been here? A little bit longer than Davis, I guess, a little over a year. Yeah. And we've had a Labor 2 vacancy for quite a while that we've had a hard time filling because you have to have CDLs. Well, Jimmy applied himself and went on his own at his own expense and got his CDLs. And so we offered him an opportunity to move up a promotion 1 grade to Laborer 2, and which he's already been filling in that capacity, due to the need. And so he's just going to continue to serve the citizens of Red Bank at the same level, just a little more driving experience. We're glad to have him in this new position. A hard work. I enjoy it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
All right, and finally for the, we'll say the police department, but administration. Chief
Seems like I was just up here. As y'all know, we had a superstar employee that was nominated for an award, and that was a runner-up. You might as well just come on up. Don't let me just stand up here and do all the talking. So everybody can admire me. So we had the honor and privilege, a lot of us, to attend the awards ceremony Thursday night. Unfortunately, she wasn't selected, but it was just an honor for her to be nominated and make the finalists, right, for those to be considered. But some interesting things that, and of course, I know, we shared that many of you wanted to attend and weren't able to with our obligations and all that. But this award it's kind of a local body. It's a nonprofit organization that kind of helps those coming up in technology and all, and it's kind of referred to as CHOTech, but it was the TechX Awards. And so they do that. They even raise money to help support and even provide scholarships and all that. So it's building that up. Stacy actually was kind of a recipient of that, and they helped her grow in the IT world. And so that was really meaningful and important to her. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight, this is the program for that evening, right? And so when we got there, in the back, we noticed that it says, a special thank you to special guests. And the first one listed is Stacy Bradley. Well, Miss Bradley here was selected to actually be one of the guest little presenters and speakers. So she had a speak. Not only was she nominated for an award, she got to speak to the entire crowd that evening. And I must say it was the best one of the night. So we're very, very honored to have Stacy on board and part of our team for sure. And awesome job.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Stacy.
Congratulations.
It's your turn to speak.
We
I
get a
just want to
1 minute
say,
excerpt.
it's been great. I started in February and it just seems like yesterday. It's been arms wide open since the first day I walked through the door, and it's been an honor to work for the city of Red Bank, and I love it. And I'm so thankful that everybody came out to support. It was just a fun night. I was honored to be there.
I was gonna say, Commissioner Wilkinson asked if we have a 1 minute
Excerpt
version
of
of
your-
your
yeah.
speech.
Yeah,
We're sorry to have missed it.
Put you on the spot. So don't worry about it.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was just telling a little bit about my background and how I started. But I did throw in the city of Red Bank in there. You know, it's great.
You make us look good. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Well done.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I can, because I was thinking, Stacy blew us away. She was keynote speaker at this packed house, and I did take notes. She spoke powerfully about the networking, mentoring, professional development, encouragement, and camaraderie she's experienced since joining Chattanooga Technology, or CHATech, and how important it was as she made herself ready for a mid-career transition into technology. And wow, did it ever work? She's now the city's first ever IT manager. So thank you, Stacy, for making yourself ready and coming to Red Bank.
Boy, are we glad to have her. Especially Chief Seymour.
I haven't really figured out if she makes my life harder.
Yes,
But either way, she makes the city better.
absolutely.
All right. So now we have the next item of business, rezoning request for 210 Lowwater Road, ordinance number 23-1249. And I'll turn that over to Deputy Director Johnson. Looks like she has some visuals for us.
Cooperation up here for myself. There we go. All right, great. That's too many buttons. Good afternoon. As you can see on the attachment to your ordinance that's presented before you, this is 210 Lowwater Road. The parcel, it looks like it's in purple right now. It is being proposed for RTZ zoning. If you'll notice the blue hashtag on the outskirts of this particular parcel, those parcels are already zoned for RTZ. The property looks like a gray area. That is actually city right of way. It gives the impression that it's an empty parcel, but it's actually Red Bank right of way. There is one R1. If you're looking at the map, it's to the right, the yellow square. It is still zoned R1 currently. We do not have any plans on the table that we're aware of for any type of use of that property, but as we go along, I probably anticipate that property coming back to us as well as a rezoning, just to continue the harmony of the development that's happening on Lowwater.
Is that currently a vacant lot?
Yes, it is. The ordinance before you, that come from the planning commission, they reviewed, back in August, and have forwarded it up to you, with a couple of conditions. I think we have ventured down this road before with some conditions that have applied to some particular pieces of property. I think what's most critical to recognize in this area is, the overall intent to protect the integrity of Linda Drive. It's up slope from these particular properties, but nonetheless, it is still a very well-established single-family residential area. What's proposed tonight, is for that, the property is currently zoned L1, which is a light industrial, piece of property, which obviously, is out of character for what's happening right now. So this does two things. It cleans up the zoning map, for what appears to be spot zoning. And then it also looks at the opportunity to rezone it to make it more in harmony with what development is happening in the area, as well as what's being encouraged citywide. There's not a lot of vacant property left, that is easily developed. They're all gonna have some challenges, but again, that's where development is going to push into. Looking at the RTZ, I wanted to read to you what the RTZ zoning district actually defines as its intent, because I think that's important to understand. Section 14.310, it is the intent of this section to provide regulations for the development of townhomes, single-family zero lot line dwellings, which are all often referred to as patio homes, and or mixed use for moderate density residential development in a manner which is attractive, provides for efficient use of land, and is compatible with surrounding development. Bringing your attention back to the first, which is townhomes. Your RTZ does allow, again, it encourages the moderate density to happen. It does have some limitations. It's a maximum of 8 units per acre. Again, depending on the unique features of the property, you may not get up to 8 if you have an acre, but under the RTZ, allowing those options to be available to a developer, my recommendation is critical. Your ordinance that came from the planning commission, and although I respect them greatly for their commitment and the work that they do for Red Bank, some of the conditions that were identified, there's one that I don't necessarily recommend, but I think it needs to be flushed out, especially in a conversation with commission before we impose it. Your point number A, which is no use other than single-family detached residential shall be permitted. To me, when you read that statement and then you understand the intent behind an RTZ, they feel a little bit at odds with each other. You do have an RZ1, which is zero lot line residential, which is specifically calling out for single-family zero lot line dwelling units for the patio homes. I think in this condition, either way could go. But with the RTZ, it opens the door for more density. It opens the door for a developer to propose a variety of options on how best to use the property. I think trying to put a condition to reduce it down to single family only, I think it just puts us at odds with the RTZ zoning itself.
Sorry. Single family detached is the condition. The
Correct.
townhomes are still considered single family housing,
Correct, but they're attached, yes.
attached single family.
But I was at that meeting, the planning commission meeting. Isn't the intent of the applicant to build for single family homes? Has there been any other desire
You
expressed?
can present a sketch is what your ordinance requires to be submitted. It's not necessarily what as being a site plan or a plat. It's still a concept, it's a sketch. And yes, he did propose 4 on the existing property. My experience in the past, and I think we've experienced it here, sometimes when zoning changes, sometimes it changes hands. The developer may sell that off to a different developer who may have a different idea on how to better use that property or make it more dense. Again, which is where your RTZ comes into play.
Is there any structure on that property currently?
No.
So the benefit to the attached townhomes is that it could allow more units, which we need more housing in Red Bank. And it looks on the map like both adjacent lots are vacant currently.
Correct.
Is the development planned for the upslope or the
It's the
downslope?
downslope,
The downslope
Correct.
end.
yes.
So this would be facing
It's on all.
Highway 27 low water
Yes.
and not affecting the Linda Drive neighbors in any
Correct.
way.
One of the other conditions that's identified in the ordinance is no lot shall access via Linda Circle. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's to continue to protect that, again, well-established single-family residential. You do have slope issues. That's something that we've dove into deeply. We do have a current, steep slope ordinance. It is referenced in this as well. Although it's a given because it is still an ordinance, but to have it identified in here reaffirms that intent to protect that slope.
And speaking of the slope, allowing for attached homes versus detached homes could potentially give the developer more options on the menu to protect that slope and draw the structures away from the slope.
Correct. It just opens the door for more opportunities to this, for a particular piece of property. I'm not saying that the developer has said he prefers, something other. I'm not trying to get into that lane. That's his lane on how he chooses to develop the property. I just know that our ideas and our goals have been to provide those opportunities for increased density.
Will he be here?
I anticipate him to be here.
Okay.
So the ordinance before us includes the condition of detached single-family homes, but staff recommendation is to perhaps present a motion to approve with the elimination of that.
Striking that condition.
Striking that condition.
And allowing the ordinance itself. As far as the density requirements are still there, setback requirements are still there, but it just opens the door for a little bit more flexibility in design. Again, to achieve density, and taking into consideration the parcel itself.
Are the other conditions recommended?
I'll read them real quick. It's compliance with ordinance 23-1240, which is our steep slope ordinance. I apologize, there is a typo on here. We have 2 Bs, so we need to correct that. The second B is the final plat site plan shall be constructed substantially in accord with the preliminary site plan, which is attached here as attachment B. I think substantially, looking at it, as it lies, whether it's 4 units, whether they get filed or turns into a townhouse development. I think being in compliance with your RTZ zone as it presents itself is key. The other condition, again, it's no lot shall be accessed via the circle. And obviously I encourage that one to stay in place.
Excellent. Okay, any questions on this item? No? Commissioner Fairbanks Harvey, please feel free to join us. You were here for most of this presentation. Do you have any questions for Leslie on this item? Okay.
You explained a little bit of it before. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Deputy Director. And the next item of business is Fire Prevention Week, Resolution 23-1619. Captain Hamill.
That's not right.
Not quite.
Sorry, that's what I had on my agenda.
No, you're fine.
My
Good evening.
apologies.
He's actually running a little bit behind. He will be here for the commission meeting.
Excellent.
So, in essence, every year we celebrate, or we don't celebrate, we acknowledge and recognize Fire Prevention Week. Since 1922, that was done in recognition of the Great Chicago Fire of 1875. This year, the theme is going to be cooking safety. The resolution itself gives a lot of different notes and facts as far as cooking safety, more reaching out to the schools and the daycares to educate forward. And once Captain Hamill gets here this evening, he'll give a little bit more information on that. So any questions about that?
You guys are going to be at Alpine Crest this Thursday morning, right?
And Thursday night.
And Thursday night for the
Fall
festival. That's right.
So I believe
Thank you.
over the course of the next about 10 days, we have, I think, 8 individual engagements, and we'll be reaching about 700 children. So
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have National First Responders Day, Resolution 23-1620. So this one will fall to Chief Seymour, it looks like.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this month has First Responder Day, and the city of Red Bank kind of took on of like taking different parts of the year and recognizing our different divisions and team members. So this month, kind of combined our first responders of the fire department, police department to kind of honor them. So this is just that resolution, just saying the city of Red Bank supports the first responders and recognizes that day.
Excellent. Are we planning to read that one in the 6 o'clock meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that October 28th?
Correct, yes.
Just in time to get them psyched up for Halloween. Thank you very much, Chief. Oh, the next one's yours too, it looks like. License plate readers through a collaborative grant agreement with Hamilton County Government, Resolution 23-1621.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I feel like it's, I don't know, been up here a lot. So, I know, was trying to look at what direction to go with this. I know there's a lot of questions and information and all that, and I was like, man, what direction do I need to go? And so took a lot of notes, a lot of information. So if you just kind of bear with me, I'm just going to kind of go through that and kind of present what we're talking about. First, I just kind of want to talk about what is up for vote tonight. And so that's the resolution, and the purpose is to approve us to participate in a collaborative violent crimes grant with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department and other area law enforcement agencies. The grant was submitted by Hamilton County Sheriff's Department to the state, and they received approval on it. So it's their grant, but it was submitted in a collaborative where multi-agencies were a part of that. So the grant is a non-matching grant, so it's 100%. The grant our part of it and what our participation that we're kind of requesting for is to allow us to install automatic license plate readers on a state route. So we're talking about State Route 8, which you may or may not be familiar with, but basically from the tunnel on Dayton Boulevard to Signal Mountain Road and out Signal Mountain Road. So this is state funds, so they limit what you can use the funds for, where they can be placed. So they say they can only be placed on state roads because they're using the state funds as well. So we're just talking about those two sections. So the grant itself, and because these are going up on state route, the Tennessee Department of Transportation asked that we get permission from local bodies, governing bodies, permission that they're in agreement that they'll allow them to be installed on those. So the funding from this grant actually pays for 5 years of these cameras, which includes the installation, the warranty, the maintenance costs, and all that. So a lot of times these programs allow, like, you just rent and you pay them like each year. Well, the funding for the grant is just go ahead and kind of pay for that ahead of time. And so that their hours, it's just paid for. Along with that, the grant funds are being managed by the Sheriff's Department. So there's no grant funds that are being go through us, right? So it's all through them. They actually will do the purchasing themselves, but then we're kind of a project, right? And we're kind of responsible for that, but they funnel the funds and they pay for it kind of with the agreement and all that. So as you're aware, the city of Chattanooga suffers a lot of high violent crimes, and actually have been listed as the top 100 most dangerous cities in the United States, according to various media outlets. With critical infrastructure, soft targets in and around Hamilton County and along those violent crimes, agencies within Hamilton County are subject to increasing levels of violent crime. Red Bank is no different. We have violent crime here. Recently we've had a shooting, we've had a stabbing, we even had a shooting involving kind of a gang member where they shot into a dwelling, accident or not, we don't know, but those things happen where we've been responding to those. Among the greater Chattanooga area, there's a high rate of stolen vehicles. There's also, we recover a lot of stolen vehicles. Even though they might not be stolen from one jurisdiction, we actually recover a lot, which means after they steal a car, they go and they dump those vehicles. And we actually recover a lot of those. This last year, even in our city, we had a report of about 15 vehicle thefts. 15,000 would be a lot.
More than one per capita.
So we had 15 vehicle thefts, 4 robberies, 23 burglaries, 40 aggravated assaults. And these are reported crimes, right? So there likely is more than that. But that's kind of what was our stats for last year. The problem is that oftentimes criminals cross jurisdictional boundaries to commit crimes. And so there are few options about tracking their movement. So, crime might be committed in Chattanooga and they come through the tunnel, they come on a road, they come into Red Bank. We have criminals that live here going to Chattanooga, vice versa, that occurs. And so the problem is there's no boundaries. There's not a way to kind of track some of those criminals to prevent the acts and to help investigate. So the crossover crime from one jurisdiction to another can be prevalent and is difficult to document. So the use of LPRs will allow area law enforcement agencies to better use available technology to be able to more quickly apprehend and prosecute those crimes, and the VCIF grant money helps to do that because it pays for these LPRs. The actual LPR technology, which LPR, I'm just abbreviating it right, is license plate readers, has proven to actually be a powerful tool and to combat criminal activity. It's used for also for kind of intelligence gathering with these crimes and gang members and different things like that. But it also helps with investigative leads and other things. It helps to successfully prosecute and to use as evidence in those prosecutions. This system is kind of dealt with. Officers and law enforcement get real-time kind of alerts, and so officers can respond to those alerts. They get alerts in their vehicles and through software, and so then they can respond to those incidents. Local governments see this as an important issue. As such, even a lot of neighborhoods, it is very common to find where communities and groups get together and they have a crime problem in their communities, and they get together and they pay for it, like neighborhood associations and all actually pay for cameras in their neighborhoods. Some of them give access to law enforcement, some of them don't. I just bring that up because even private groups and neighborhoods see the importance of it. Even recently, there's an article in the Chattanooga today about, Collegedale was addressing some things, and the university over there saw the benefits in it. So even the university themselves paid to have some of these cameras in there to track some of the violent crime, or if nothing else, to help deter. So what do they do? What does the technology do? So obviously it scans for your license plates on the vehicles, and it compares it to a criminal justice database. And it compares that. What it does, it looks to see if that tag is reported stolen. Is the car reported stolen? Is this person wanted somewhere? Is this an aggravated robbery suspect that we might be looking for? Was this a person that's been reported as like an Amber Alert? Right? So you see that those that go off on your phone, and you're driving down the interstate and you see the tag number on the billboards. Well, does anybody write down those tag numbers to compare as they see Amber Alert? They don't. And so these are the type of alerts. One of the alerts they also talk about is silver alerts. So silver alerts, obviously those with kind of dementia or other type of mental health, not mental health, but physiological changes in their mind where they're not right, and they wonder, and so they start looking for those. So those are some of the type of alerts. Even also those ideas of being able to, if these were around schools or playgrounds, what they do is they can run and see, hey, is this car registered to a person that might be on the sex offender registry? And so what it can do is kind of alert law enforcement, hey, you got this car that's been around this park 3 times in 30 minutes, and there might be a problem. You might need to go check it out. Now, kind of with these hits on these, we call, these hits, these alerts, law enforcement, we can't just stop them because we get an alert, right? If they locate the vehicle, then they run the tag, they verify that information before taking law enforcement action. So that's really what it does. It also provides the opportunity, what we call hot lists. So if we have a robbery here, let's say the Wendy's or something, and we have a partial tag or a full tag, we can put that into the system and see if a vehicle has gone through any of the cameras or whatnot. And so it can do that search, and it can be an investigatory tool to see what direction they might have gone to. Does it go through a camera 2 or 3 times in a short period of time, which might be an indicator they live close by? Or maybe we just have a partial tag. We don't have a full tag, but a camera catches the full tag. And so that's some of the benefits to it, is doing that and investigating for like child abductions, kidnapping, suspects, and all that. So talking about this information, obviously privacy is a concern, and that's a huge deal. People are concerned about that, and I don't blame them. The idea, though, is these systems don't retain personal information. They don't retain your date of birth and your social security number and all that. They retain kind of the license plate and kind of the vehicle description, right? But by law, we can only retain that information for a maximum of 90 days. Now, we can choose to do that shorter if we want to, or if you do find a tag and it was a suspect in a violent crime, then you can pull that information and attach it to the case file just like any other evidence. But at least every 90 days, there's an automatic purging where that can occur. And that can be set up whatever, but state law is 90 days. And so obviously this information is limited to criminal justice purposes. It can't be used for, personal information or personal gain or anything like that. It's not like there's live streams where officers are sitting in an office just watching cars go by and look at people driving to work every day, right? This is not that type of thing. We've already established a policy on this. Just kind of outlining the limitations where it is criminal justice information. It's not to be disseminated other than to sworn members, and that it's not open for public inspection and that type of thing, because it may have some get the personal information, not like the date of birth or anything, but it's just kind of viewed in that same way. Other agencies and governmental bodies see the importance of this technology. The city of Collegedale, the city of Eastridge, city of Soddy Daisy, city of Chattanooga, Hamilton County, Tennessee Highway Patrol are all using this technology in one form or another, or going to start doing that. Part of this grant, all those agencies are involved in part of this grant. The Sheriff's Department, Chattanooga Police Department, Chattanooga Housing, Eastridge, Signal Mountain, and us are participating in this part of the grant to be able to do that. I've got a whole list of success stories. I came prepared kind of with those, but I don't want to sit here and bore you and read 2 or 3 pages of these. There have been, recently news articles and things, even here in Hamilton County, where they've tracked down stolen cars and stopped them. There's an incident in Eastridge where they got some bad people off the road because the car was stolen. They recovered some guns and all that. Even today's article, Collegedale talked about multiple stolen cars, locating missing persons, seizing thousands of dollars. And along with all that, there's always kind of drugs and weapons that you can get off the street. Knoxville uses them, has found similar things. Nashville, Mount Juliet, which I thought was interesting, they had a problem with vehicle burglaries. And even though they're just outside the Nashville area, after they deployed their LPRs, they saw a 48% reduction in their crime rate, even though Nashville went up. So Nashville went up and they went down. They recovered they had 81 stolen car hits, 41 stolen plates, 23 wanted persons. I think that was in 1 year. Armed robbery suspects, murder suspects, first degree murder, all that. So I've got just tons and tons. One thing that caught my eye though was personally, it says ALPR helps identify a suspect in Indiana involving vehicle that nearly strikes police chief. So that kind of hit me home. It's like, all right, yeah, go get them. That was in Indiana. So there's a lot. So I believe it's really of the utmost importance that agencies within Hamilton County, including Red Bank, be able to prevent and respond to crime and collect for the safety of the community. Criminals often commit these crimes in more than one jurisdiction. They cross these lines, and we need to be able to know where they go and help try to prevent some of that. So this collaborative effort will enhance our ability with our partners in the area to be able to communicate, compare our data, identify suspects, and help with prosecution of these criminals, violent criminals. So tonight, really before you is kind of the resolution is approving our participation in this grant, and that and kind of that you be on board for installing those on state routes. In your packets, kind of gives you an idea of some of the locations. So those are the planned locations on those. They some of the locations, they have to be kind of where a pole is and things like that. So we have a location at the tunnel coming in on south end of Dayton Boulevard, State Route 8. right around just south of Signal Mountain Road, we have one facing each direction. Really, there's kind of 4 places. There's like 7 cameras, I think, but because Signal Mountain Road is so wide, there has to be multiple cameras to catch the cameras. So you really have, 2, one facing each direction, just south of Signal Mountain Road. And then right around the Baylor School, there are facing each direction. You have 2 kind of facing each direction there to catch all those multiple lanes, which is a good, significant location. I like it because there's a school there. And, even though it's right at the edge of our city, these criminals cross paths and they come in our city and they go to other cities. And so being able to have information in there, if there's like that violent crime that happens in Chattanooga or in Hamilton County, well, hey, they came here, they came into Red Bank after that. And so that can be used for investigative purposes, right, to help track down things. Yes, ma'am.
While I've got it on my mind, when the camera picks up the vehicle and it's moving, say, toward the tunnel and goes into Chattanooga, does Red Bank then notify the car is going into their jurisdiction and to be on the lookout, or vice versa?
If we get the alert like that, we can do that, yes. Get on the radio and alert them, alert dispatch to be on the look for that vehicle.
But this is part of a county-wide system, or would be. So Red Bank wouldn't be the only one getting the alerts, would they?
Well, so my understanding is that like each agency kind of has control over their own part. But part of the agreement in the grant is that we're able to like compare the data, right? And, because really us just having cameras in Red Bank doesn't do a lot of good if we can't maybe compare them. Because we have criminals that stay here and sleep here, but go into Chattanooga to do their crimes. And so that's kind of part of that purpose there. So we can't share that information, that doesn't help. These criminals are going beyond districts. So the way I understand it is each agency's kind of will be responsible for managing and monitoring their own. But like we have to sign off and give permission for Hamilton County to be able to view or to see it for investigative purposes. Right.
So just to clarify, are there what other agencies are participating in this particular project?
Okay, so Hamilton County Sheriff's Department, Chattanooga Police Department, the Chattanooga Housing Authority, East Ridge Police Department, Signal Mountain Police Department, and then us. But along with that, kind of separately that aren't directly doing this is Soddy Daisy got funding, and so they're doing something up there. Collegedale's had cameras out there for 2 or 3 years. They went with a different vendor and kind of established a couple of out there. Actually, East Ridge has had some cameras. They're wanting to expand. They've had success with that and see the need for that, so they want to do that, expand that. So, Signal Mountain's getting it. So, Lakeside and some of them, I don't know, but that's would be kind of considered, I guess, Sheriff's Department take care of something.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of spread outside of Red Bank are we looking at? Just kind of like close to Red Bank, but not necessarily inside. I mean, does Chattanooga have one on the opposite side of the tunnel, or Signal Mountain have one going up the hill, or what does that look like?
So that's a good question. I don't know exactly where Chattanooga's cameras are. I have access to a map I could probably look at to see. I don't know that they have one on the other side of the tunnel. Signal Mountain will have them, I think, and I can look at that map. I just know from early discussions, they talked about putting them kind of up at the mountain as you go through their city, kind of on each end. Several there as well. So I know Chattanooga was just looking at their state routes within Chattanooga to put them in there. And honestly, I'm not sure about if State Route 8 actually starts at the tunnel or if it goes into,
I think it
into
includes
Chattanooga.
Cherokee Boulevard.
So I don't know where that cutoff date is. So they'd be limited on what they could do up there.
I have like 3 separate questions.
Okay.
So, one, just an easy one to answer. You said this is 5 years. The resolution says this is a project period of 3 years.
Okay.
So which one is correct?
Good question.
Okay.
That is an easy question. You put me on, I was having fun. The grant itself is like a 3-year period, right? But like to spend the funds, right? And so what, like if I think if they wanted to, they could say, okay, for this year, they could rent it, they could rent it for like each year and ask for reimbursement. What they're trying to do is the equipment, they say average lifespan's about 5 years. And so what we're trying to do is be able to provide this and give the full life of the products, the hardware and all that. So the 5 years really how long the cameras could be up and working. Honestly, we could take them down, anytime, at least. We probably wouldn't or couldn't during the grant, period, which would be 3 years, right? But the grant itself is 3 years that you have time to use the funds.
And this would be implemented like tomorrow, like the funds are there for you to access to make the purchase of the license plate readers?
Yes, they've been approved for the grant, so it's a reimbursement grant, and so
Okay.
that's where the funding is all done through the sheriff's department. And so they have grant managers, they have a project manager that's they agreed to do the administration and all this. But, and on this collaborative grant, they've asked for other parts, different things for them or for other agencies or whatever. Our part participating in this is just kind of these license plate readers.
Okay, and then after that 3 to 5 year period, I guess the 3-year period covers the payment of the cameras, but you're saying that the license plate readers, but they would last for 2 more years, potentially lifespan. So after that time, if we get to that 5-year point, then there would have to be a conversation about potentially us funding like a continuation.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Right. There would have to be a conversation. Do we want to continue this project? We can call it a pilot project, just kind of see how they do, and I'm good with that. I would not be up here asking for this if I did not think that it was in the best interest of the city of Red Bank and our citizens. When I go to chiefs conferences and I hear chiefs talking about the benefit of their cameras and, we're able to solve this case or that case and the improvement of the technologies. And I understand the concern, government following and privacy concerns. I get that. I just, in my position and all, there's not I drive down the road, I'm on a camera somewhere. I go into Chattanooga, they got security cameras that aren't necessarily LPRs, but they got them all over the city, right? And they strategically put them up and all that. And that's just, I don't loosely come up here to ask for money because I just think this has honestly been a desire on my heart for a while. I've just been trying to figure out how to fund it and to get it started. And I think this is a good opportunity with some grant funds that there's no cost to the city. We can use it as a pilot program to see, because what I expect is after we implement that to come back and say, hey, we're able to track down this armed robbery suspect. Now, whether it's our jurisdiction or not, it doesn't matter because it gets them off the road, right? The same jerks that rob a store in Chattanooga or out in Hamilton County, they'll come into Red Bank. We talk about the same criminals that visit the same cities. And they'll arrest them in one city, and then we arrest them, and they're all over, And so, anyway, sorry, but that's just the way I feel about it.
Okay. Sorry, I have one more question. I appreciate you sharing all this information you're sharing because I've definitely had some folks reach out about, privacy issues and things like that. I'm sorry, I have 2 questions. So one of them is that you said the data is wiped no longer than 90 days after it's scanned or whatever. Is it stored locally or is it sent off to like some larger database or
Good
how does
question.
that work?
So it is housed with the vendor itself. So they provide the resources and the software and all, but the data that's on there is ours, right? Even currently with our in-car cameras and our body-worn cameras and our tasers, we don't house that locally, right? That is housed with the the vendor themselves, right? And so it's our data, it's our evidence, right? They don't have access to it. And they have protocols, you know, and all that, safeguards by all means, but it's our evidence, but it's just saved on their information. So they can't sell it, they can't, you know, they're subject to state laws just like we are.
Okay, so they're the ones that have whatever software that
Yeah,
like
right.
says triggers it at 90 days, or if we say 60 days or whatever we say, to wipe that data and, you know,
Correct.
previous to that time.
Right.
Okay. My next question is more, my last question is more for now, is more along the lines of the fact that I do appreciate you sharing all this information. What's going to happen, what I have a fear about is people are going to see these out in the community and they're going to think back to the red light cameras that we had. And that was a real deterrent for people like coming into our community. You know, they may not experience the same kind of response because, you know, with those, they were obviously getting tickets and things like that mailed to them. So unless you have committed some kind of criminal act, then you're not gonna probably ever hear, anything about this. But just the optics of what that looks like in the community, I do have a concern about that, and I don't know if there's a way to address that ahead of time.
The only thing, what comes to mind first is these aren't like the cameras that you see on Hickson Pike. They don't have big silver poles with big old boxes the size of this podium, right? They're very small and concealed. Wait, I say concealed, but they're just small, right? Unless you're actually looking for them, you're probably never going to notice them. And so that's small. So they might even, which can be both good and bad. I see both sides of that. The only thing I can do is just kind of informing our public that they're not, ticket writing. They're not like red light cameras like we used to have. Also, I would kind of tend to say is the way it's looking. Every other city in Hamilton County is either got these cameras or they're moving to them. And now Signal Mountain has to, I think, still present theirs, but all these other agencies already have some type of form or another. So, are they going to avoid all the cities? And all I can do is stress that we primarily use these. They're used for the hits, for like stolen vehicles, amber alerts, silver alerts, and all that. And they're a way for investigators. We go to an armed robbery suspect and we can just enter a tag or even a vehicle description and just see if there's anything that pops up at that time for investigative reasons. And so you have such a short window to be able to do that, and then they're gone. And so, like I said, it's not like your personal information is on there. Right now, any officer can go out here and get behind the car and just run a tag, and they can find out who the registered owner is and who their address is. And so that's a way to do it, but this way you don't have that going out. It just takes that tag and compares it to these lists. Hey, is this a hit on this tag? And then the officer can do further investigations on that. Now, that came up stolen. So who's this belong to? Where was it stolen from? And verify that information. So I get the concerns.
So is the information used as evidence if
It can be.
as it moves forward?
It can be. Yes, ma'am. If it's not, you don't find anything, that stuff's purged. If it's like, oh man, that car came here, that's the vehicle, then that information can be extracted. The detectives can do that and then attach it to their case file for evidence, right? And then that follows our evidence protocols.
So, Chief, one question. So that 90-day kind of time frame, is there any data that correlates the amount of time you store it with the effectiveness of having it? Does that question make sense?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So
I don't know where this 90 days comes from. I don't know. I would think that most of your crimes you would know that you're investigating or looking at, that it would be within that when you're trying to do a search by the time a crime is reported and all that, and how long.
I'm just thinking, like, would a month be too short, or just sort of.
And I honestly don't have a good answer for that. A lot of it is just when the crime reported, if the Chattanoogan was correct, I don't, today is, Collegedale keeps theirs for 30 days, but from what I've read, I've looked at sample policies from other agencies when we developed ours and seen what everybody was doing, and most everybody's that I saw, says at 90 days. And that's the state law. I mean, state law, they said that for a reason, because of some of the concerns, privacy concerns, to kind of help with some of that.
Well, in the interest of getting to citizen comments for the work session today, thank you very much, Chief. We may be continuing this conversation during the 6 o'clock meeting if we have more questions. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Granum to share the rules for comment.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the time for citizen comments. Please observe these rules for citizen comments. Comments are limited to 2 minutes or less here in work session, and the city recorder will operate a timer on her desk. Please respect her direction and conclude any comments if time expires. All citizen comments should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to a particular commissioner, the city staff, or the audience. The commission is here to listen, not to respond or engage in back and forth. So please do not expect a reply during public comment. More citizen comment time is available at the end of our regular session immediately following this work session. At this time, citizens are invited to the podium to comment. Please begin by stating your name and address.
Michael McCain, 4200 Tacoma. This is in reference to the conversation which just took place. My question would be in reference to if different agencies are using the same vendor for cameras, why would Red Bank need to contact one of those other agencies about a potential violation? Why can't those cameras interact with each other, just like a network? That would be a question that I believe I would want to ask. The other thing was the cost. Is there a way to find out what the potential cost would be after the grant ran out so that we would be able to determine if this was a program that we wanted to continue with? Another thing that was brought up was the use of the cameras and possibly violation of individual rights. My personal answer to that would be that the car is on a public road, so no individual rights were violated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCain. Anyone else who would like to speak for items on this agenda?
David Scudder, 4810 Stag Road. So I wrote this before listening to Police Chief Seymour speak, but I'm still going to read it just to share my thoughts with you. I trust our Chief of Police, Dan Seymour, and the men and women of Red Bank Police Department to respect our civil liberties. I cannot trust Motorola, their third-party partners, or any of the myriad governmental and law enforcement agencies that are outside of our jurisdiction and therefore lack accountability. While I appreciate Chief Seymour's attention to our public safety, I would prefer Red Bank not adopt this resolution for LPRs and continue to seek alternative ways to foster increased public safety. If LPRs must be utilized, I ask that the city limit their use to our community and do not allow Red Bank to become a part of a national and international mass surveillance system. I would like to see a data policy and use agreement with Motorola that includes these best practice recommendations, among others, from the ACLU. Data retention of non-hit list subjects should be deleted within 3 minutes of its generation. Data generated by Red Bank should only be accessible by Red Bank, and data should only be run against hot lists created by Red Bank, as national databases can be out of date or inaccurate. After hearing Chief Seymour expound upon the resolution, I have concerns that this specific arrangement will not offer or will offer Red Bank little to no control of the LPRs or data they generate, as the state is paying for it with county administration. If we can be assured that stronger protections and sounder data retention practices than what are required by state law could be enacted, I would feel only a little better about
Thank you, Mr. Gedron. Anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. If there are no more public comments, then we'll go ahead and adjourn our work session a few minutes early, and we'll reconvene for our 6 o'clock meeting.
I have to definitely have to do that.
Hello.
See you all freezing to death.
Oh, yeah, it's chilly.
Our protocols are working, Mayor. Yeah.
I still went a little over. We didn't get quite the 5-minute bathroom break we were hoping for.
That's okay, you know, there's a chance to catch our breath before that. I like that. Thank you.
Yes.
He said I would be on the agenda for October 3rd. To be voted.
What was it? A swirl in the wall or what?